Hi guys, what's up? It's MK655 and I'm back with my basic games programming in Unity 5 C#. And today I'm going to be covering if statements. If statements are basically a big piece of game logic. They will be used quite a lot. They are some of the most important ones. So I'm going to create a new script and I'm going to call it C#. I'm going to make it a C# script even. And I'm going to call it two ifs and just open it up over here in MonoDevelop. Okay, so if statements, basically they are just that. It checks if something is true or if something is false. So in my update script, I'm going to just write. The way you write ifs is really easy. You just put if, and then you put a normal open bracket. Pardon me, normal open bracket. Followed by what you want to check. So here I'm going to use the input class. So it's the interface into the input system, as you can see. And I'm going to put a dot. And dots are used to access the scripts and the values and the variables within the class or set of classes. So input dot get, and I'm going to do a get key down. And I'm going to put keycode.a. This is a bad way of doing it because this is just checking a specific keyboard value as opposed to obviously like settable inputs which you have when you actually make a game, when you go into the menu and customize your key bindings. This is a bad way of doing it because you're setting it so that the player can only use that one key. I'm not going to cover setting up input buttons here because it's not so much programming relevant, but I might do slightly later. Okay, so if you put in, if you import .getKeyDown, and you notice as I said in the previous video, you got the opening for the if statement, and then the opening for the key code, and you're making sure that you close them all up properly, and the if statement has open and closing curly braces. So this is an example of arguments which I believe I should have covered last time. So basically, the get key down is to return, it will return a Boolean value on whether that key is being pressed. And then this is the argument which you send it. So keycode.a is the key code that you are checking for. So if you press A, we're going to use print, which prints a message to the Unity console. And I'm going to open it up and put in a string. So pressed, if I can type, A key. And close it all up and put your semicolon at the end, as you do. So now if I come into Unity, and I click, pardon me, and I click on my box, and I put two ifs, and if I press play, you can see if I press A, in the bottom left there, pressed A key, obviously I'm also moving because A is strafe, but pressed A key. So now I'm going to quickly switch this script up a little to show you how you can check multiple things within one if statement. I could do it in multiple ways. You can have an if, but you can also have an else if. And an else if is basically in relation to the first. If it doesn't do that, but it does this, then do a different thing. So in this one, I'm going to put not an off mesh link. I don't even know what an off mesh link is. Input.get key down again, and keycode.d, and close it all up. And I'm going to print pressed D key. And then for the last one, I'm going to put else, just else. And else means basically if this one isn't true, and if this one isn't true, if neither of those are true, or however many else ifs you have set up, if none of those are true, do this. So I'm going to then have print pressed some other key. And close it all up and come back into Unity. And you should now be able to see if I press A. Okay, it's that's because you've got to be very careful. I was not very careful. Basically, it kept printing this, and that's because it's not getting either of these down. I didn't actually check. I didn't do that properly. So I'm going to change this to pressed nothing. Oop. Pardon me. And if I come back into Unity, and you should now see it printing pressed nothing when it actually wants to run. So press nothing. And unfortunately I can't see my pressing of A and D at the moment. And it's not liking that for some reason. That's a little irritating. Oh well. So that kind of didn't work as I thought it would. But anyway, ignoring else for now. You can kind of get the idea of how they're meant to work. I just kind of screwed it up. I'm going to come back into Unity and try out the first one which I did. So pressed A key, pressed D key. There you go. So those ones are working fine. It was just when I added in the else, I messed it up. I apologize. Okay, but coming back, let's look at different things that you can check. So obviously here I am checking input, but let's check something else. So let's check an ammo count. Why not? So I'm going to make an integer. I'm going to call it ammo count. I'm then going to make another one, and I'm going to call it magazine count. Alright, I'm going to get rid of this line quickly. So, I'm going to have it that if input.getButtonDown, because this is an input button set up as I told you about before, I'm going to put fire 1. And fire 1 is the left mouse button by default. So basically, if you have an input button set up, this is how you access it. So you have fire 1, you have jump, you have sprint, you can set all those up. So if you input fire 1, and here's where we're going to start checking multiple if statements. So first off, I'm going to do if ammo count is not equal to 0, and there are different checks that you can do. A double equal sign means equal, so if ammo count is equal to this amount, you've got exclamation mark equals, which is not equal, and that's really all the ones that you're going to use. So if ammo count is not equal to 0, then do that. Else if ammo count is equal to 0, and then what you can do is, as I said, you can check multiple things in one if statement, and the way you check if two things are happening or multiple things are happening, if you want it to make sure that they are definitely happening, you would put an and, a double ampersand sign. So if ammo count is equal to 0 and magazine count is not equal to 0, so if your ammo count's 0 but you still have magazines left, then do that. Else if ammo count is equal to 0 and magazine count is also equal to 0, then do that. So if ammo count is not equal to 0, what do we want to do? Well, we want to decrease our ammo count, so I'm going to put ammo count, and then to decrement it, you can just put minus minus, and that means bring it down by 1, decrement it. You can also put, for these, you can put plus plus to increment it by 1, but obviously in this case we don't want our ammo to go up, we want our ammo to go down. So if ammo count is equal to nothing and magazine count is not equal to 0, we want to first decrease our magazine count by 1, and then we want to set our ammo count back to 30, which is our maximum amount in one magazine. And then if your ammo count is 0 and magazine count is 0, we're going to print out of ammo. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly set the ammo count to be equal to 5 and the magazine count to be equal to 2 so that I can quickly test this and show you. And if I come back into Unity, unexpected symbol 2, where have I messed this up? This is why you need, oh, that's why, it's because I didn't put an equals sign. And come back into Unity, that message should go away. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and I'm going to put this on my player controller. So if I now play, if I hit it 10 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or maybe not. It's not quite working for me. Surprise, surprise, what do you know? Alright, I'm going to set these integers quickly back to public so that I can see them. and then I'll know that it's working correctly or not. Wait for it. There we go. So 5 and 2, and 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and there you go. That's why. It's because I set the value to 30 in the script later on, and that's why you should always be careful when hard coding values later on. So now if I get down to 0, as you can see on the right, bottom left, out of ammo, out of ammo, out of ammo. So although I messed the script up slightly, you can kind of see how it worked. And the reason that happened before is because I'd set this back to 30. You instead want to set that, and I'm going to put... I'm actually going to do this a slightly different way. So instead of having the ammo count assigned there, I'm going to have the magazine count set by default, but I'm also going to make a public... I'm going to make it a private int, max magazine ammo. So for example, if you had extended mags in a game, you would make that higher value. And then what I'm going to do is, in the beginning, I'm going to set ammo count to be equal to max magazine ammo. And then down here, I'm also going to set it to be max magazine ammo again. And that should fix that issue. So wait for it to update. Max magazine ammo there. And I'm going to set this to 3 per magazine. I know that's very low, but you should then see ammo counts drop down to 3, 2, 1, and back up to 3. And there you go, out of ammo. So okay, so that's if statements, really, in a nutshell. But I've checked integers, What else can you check? You can check Boolean values. So I'm going to quickly change this slightly. So I'm going to make a Boolean so that you can see how they work. I'm going to make a public bool should print. And I'm going to set its default value to be false, because I want it to be false by default. And then I'm going to check that Boolean value. So if should print. So here, that will return if it's true or false, and it will happen if it's true. So if you just put the name of it, it'll be, if that is true, do it. However, I'm going to specify if it's equal to false, then print, should print is, should print is false. And then else, because obviously the only other result is it's going to be true. And print should print, if I can quit here in caps lock, that would be great, is true. And then I'm just going to quickly set up an import. If input.get key down keycode.b, because why not? Then should print is going to be equal to the negative of should print, and put in an exclamation mark before the value like that. When it's a Boolean, at least, it negates it. So if it was true, it will be false. If it was false, it will be true. So now if I come back into Unity and wait for it to update, wait for the Boolean to appear there. So in the bottom left, I should get should print is false, and if I press B, should print is true. So that's checking Booleans and floats. And you can check anything. You can check Booleans, you can check integers, you can check floats, you can check vector 3 values, you can check the x, y, and z, you can check all of that stuff. But this video has actually ran on a fair bit longer than I intended to as well. Sorry about that, guys. I was just kind of messing around with these and trying to work out my kinks. And I like it when stuff messes up in a tutorial, because it's nice to see people fix it. So you kind of saw where I went wrong and how I tried to correct myself. But anyway, that's the end of this, guys. Next video I will be looking at loops, which is another useful one. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Sorry it ran on a bit long, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.